Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. You can change the language of this podcast in the YouTube video settings. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing stop pursuing your ex and watch what they do next. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing stop pursuing your ex and watch what they do next. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, the urge to pursue them is high, and you've likely done it. You're probably actively doing it right now. But what if you were to suddenly stop? In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 things that your ex will likely do next if you stop pursuing them. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is seemingly nothing. Now let me know in the comments if you think that your ex-dumper would notice if you stop pursuing them. Let me know in the comments and let's see what the community thinks. And as I just said, point number 1 is seemingly nothing. Now I promise you, things are going to get a lot more interesting, so please keep listening through, although point number 1 is interesting in its own right. And that is that if you suddenly stop pursuing your ex, then there is likely to be no obvious reaction from your dumper. But that doesn't mean that the wheels in motion haven't started their movement. Now what this means is that if you were to be texting your ex every day, so if they've ended a relationship and you either haven't taken no for an answer, or you feel there's additional things they need to know, you feel there is an explanation you need to get across, whatever your belief system, you're texting them every day. Okay, you could probably acknowledge now that you are pursuing them. But we're not just talking about people who do this every day. We're speaking about those of you who might not send more than 1 message a month. You might not think that's pursuing, but it is. If you have an ex, if they ended a relationship, if they, in essence, decided they no longer want to be in a relationship with you, then if you are still contacting them for unnecessary reasons, and by the way, trying to persuade them back is not a necessary reason. A necessary reason would be something such as, and I often use this example, is that maybe you left your work laptop at their house. That is necessary. What is unnecessary is you trying to persuade and change their mind. That is pursuing. So even if you were only reaching out every month, every 2 months, that is still pursuing. But certainly if it's weekly or daily, well, you know the reality. If you decide to stop taking those actions, stop sending those messages, stop knocking on their door, stop waiting outside where they work to try and grab a word, what you will likely see initially is your ex doing nothing. But in their mindset, things are certainly whirring round to the reality that you are no longer chasing. And even though they are not reacting, it doesn't mean things aren't working in your favour. Because you could look at it as almost an analogy that you are no longer poisoning your connection. The connection you have with one another, unfortunately, was not that great, certainly in a romantic sense, at the time of the breakup. If it was, they wouldn't have ended the relationship. So when your ex ended that connection with you, things were not looking all that great. Again, certainly in a romantic sense, but often in all ways. Sadly, they lost romantic emotional attraction for you. It hit the necessary low point. They actioned the breakup. Things aren't looking great. But if you continue to pursue your ex post-breakup, things are going to be looking even worse. That is what I would refer to as you poisoning the connection. The level of attraction they have towards you is already low. Guess what? It's getting lower. Unless you are reaching out for a necessary reason, in which case it could be understood and respected. If you are just trying to persuade your dumper, if you're begging, pleading, if you're overly reasoning, if you're doing this further and further into the future post-breakup, this is not going to help you. It's actually, unfortunately, going to be making things a lot worse. So if you stop, even though your ex is not likely to reach out and say, hey, dumpee, thank you for finally listening to me. Thank you for finally stopping chasing me. Thank you. I'm so appreciative that you are no longer bothering me. Although they are not likely to be actually sending you such a message, don't think that things are not altering in their mindset. They have acknowledged what you have done. The poison has stopped being put and dripped into your connection, and your relationship is at least stabilizing at the level that it is right now. And the only way is up from this point. Now, I can't promise you that you'll get your ex back, but what I can say is that your connection as a whole will certainly not be getting any worse if and when you stop pursuing. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like and hype this video. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is inquire. Now today we're speaking about what your ex-bedumper will likely do next if you stop pursuing them. And inquiring about you is what point number 2 represents. Now this can be seen and viewed in different ways. It could be, for instance, that you have mutual friends and your ex starts asking about you. Now perhaps they did this initially because they were worried about you, but then you would likely have noticed that those questions have dried up. Your mutual friends who are telling you that they are on your side have no good information to pass on, often for a good while. But if you stop chasing your ex, there will likely come a time where you find out from a friend of a friend that your ex has been asking about you. And they're doing this because you are no longer providing them with information. You have taken away your presence. You have created space. And wonder, intrigue, and attraction can only grow in space. So this is what is going to be turning around slowly but surely in your favour. The inquiries don't just stop at mutual friends. They could actually be to your own family. I've heard of numerous instances where dumpees have told me when we've been speaking during my audio coaching sessions that they have said that their mum, their dad, their brother, their sister, their auntie, their uncle, whoever it may be, bumped into their ex-bedumper, and instead of just a quick smile, instead of just a wave, instead the ex decided to stop that family member, have a little conversation, and ask about the dumpee. And this, of course, gets back to the dumpee. Now, don't be fooled by thinking that your ex was just doing this without any consideration about what it might mean to you, because if they are speaking to your family, they know it's going to get back to you. Now, a friend of a friend, mutual friends, they might possibly say to the dumper, this is just between us, even though it gets back to you, and often vice versa. So please be careful what you speak about with mutual friends. But no, a family member, it is clear, it is obvious, this is going to get back to you. So I'm not trying to bring in a conspiracy theory about if, what, when, why, and what they're trying to say about you and communicate with you. But what I would suggest is that your ex knows that anything they say to a family member will be getting back to you, and hence they must be okay with this possibility. And this is something that we can just acknowledge as a slight mindset shift. They are no longer worried or concerned that by them reaching out to you indirectly, that might give you some type of thought process yourself. Now, I'm not trying to give you false hope. This doesn't mean you're definitely getting back together. It also doesn't mean that you should reach out to your dumper. But it does mean that you stopping pursuing them has not only planted seeds, but we're now starting to see green shoots growing from the ground. And this doesn't even stop there. You know, we spoke about mutual friends, we spoke about family, but it can also be inquiries via social media. Now, these aren't quite the same. This isn't a conversation as such with anybody, but you might suddenly start to notice your ex is viewing your stories. Or maybe it's not your ex, maybe it's your ex's family. Maybe it's your ex's friend that wasn't really your friend. And you're thinking, why are they viewing my stories? This is part of the inquiry period. They're trying to find out about you. You've taken your presence away from them. They are now wondering. Now, in point number 1, they were somewhat relieved that you were no longer chasing, bothering them. They were somewhat happy that you were now listening to their request for your relationship to be over. But by the time we get to point number 2, they really miss knowing about what's going on in your life. And viewing your stories is a wonderful way, whether they do it themselves or ask someone else to do it on their behalf. It's a great way to get that vital information. And it isn't just a story on social media that you might notice that they're trying to draw information from. Sometimes they come out of their hidey hole really, really clearly. Possibly you posted a photo and you get a like, you get a reaction to a status you posted. This isn't necessarily a comment, certainly not a question, definitely not a direct message, but it's certainly a sign that things are changing in your favour. They're acknowledging what you're posting online and they're appreciating what you're posting online. And now, to once more just underline the point, this doesn't necessarily mean you'll get your ex back because there are no guarantees. But what we can say is that things are moving in the right direction. And if you do want to get back together, these are signs which can be very, very exciting. But you need to make sure you stay cool, calm and collected. So many dumpees get these signs, get these symbols, but unfortunately, instead of staying cool, they get a little bit too excited and start reaching out to their dumper prematurely, which guess what? Well, yes, exactly. You are now pursuing them once more. All of the hard work has now crumbled. They are no longer feeling that concern that you have gone forever and instead realised, actually, my dumpee just stayed away a bit longer than normal. I don't need to ask their friends. I don't need to speak to their family. I don't need to view their stories. I can live my life because my dumpee is waiting for me. They are my safety net. I have no concerns. So don't give your ex that benefit. Don't give them that gold membership. Allow them to miss you and view and enjoy what comes next. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. This is the best and diamond level of support that I can provide. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is RMR. Now, if you feel that this podcast could help others, please share it in breakup communities, groups, and servers. Let's help as many people as possible. And as I've just said, point number 3 is RMR. Now, what does that stand for? Well, it's the next process that your expert dumper will likely go through. The first R is respect. They will start to regrow that respect for you. You listened to what they requested, i.e. they ended the relationship and you stopped chasing. Okay, so they will respect you for that. You listened to them. You showed self-control. You are living your own life. Things that they've learnt about you, hopefully, have impressed them. That is for respect. They can't and won't want to date you again unless they respect you. So respect is vital, and that is what will come first in point number 3. But what is the M? Well, the M is missing you. So first they regrow that respect, then the M is they miss you. That wonder, that intrigue, trying to find out about you, they still don't know enough, you're still not coming towards them, that is when they will miss you. Again, they can't and won't come back to you unless they miss you. It's necessary, and it's going to come next. Now we get to the final R. Now what is the final R? Well, the final R is actually a two-parter. I suppose I could have called this RMRR, but I can't really count the final R as a definitive, so we'll just leave it as RMR. And the third letter of this acronym R in this instance is reflect. Now reflection is absolutely vital because until they reflect, they're not going to reconsider their decision. I suppose I could actually have included reconsider as an additional R, but that would have been a real tongue twister. So they are going to be reflecting. I call it the crossroads. They will get to that stage where they look left or they look right. Should they go back to you? Should they continue the path that they are on? We can't say for certain, but if you stop pursuing them, they will at least get to a crossroads. They will at least get to the moment of reflecting. If you keep bothering them, they have nothing to reflect on. They know deep down in their heart they made the right choice without any real deliberation. So you have to understand that by behaving in a positive way, by stopping chasing your ex, you will get the RMR, you will get the respect, they will start to miss you, they will then reflect. But as I said, there is an additional R, which sadly doesn't come to everybody, but if you do everything right, stands a very increased possibility for you. And that final R is reach out to you. And that is what we're looking for. Most relationships which reconnect are going to come from the dumper reaching out to the dumpee. We need them to change their mind. We need them to realise they've made an error of their ways. You can't persuade them. But if it's not genuine, if it's not in their heart, it's not going to be authentic. It's not going to last forevermore. So we need them to go through this process. We need them, in point number 3, to go through the RMR, and then hopefully you will get the additional R as well.